I mean, it was no love lost between me and Chad. I am not going to pretend that there was. I thought she was a very pretty girl and didn't need to be with him, but then she too went downhill. I watched. She got just as bad as the rest of them. By bad, you mean in terms of drug use? Yes, tell us about that. She started packing the pipe. She started asking for it. What her little affairs were with other guys is not my place to speak of, but it was like just a teenage thing between the two of them, and no big love lost, the way it appeared to me, because he was either yelling at her, she was with her friends, and it was just chaotic. I mean, it's hard to really explain. You warned her to stay away from him in Norwalk? Did you ever warn or tell him to keep her out of what he was doing? I got into an argument with him at Daryl's house, and because I thought, well, he ripped Doug off, and I told him that. I started yelling at him, and I said that he's a big mouth and he's not going to live to see 21 because of the way he carries himself. All right.
There.
Yeah. 180 starts with question by plaintiff's attorney. Did you hear Frank Dye's voice? I didn't recognize it as Frank's voice. I knew Amos was with Frank that night. Did you hear another man's voice? In other words, Amos and another man? Amos and another man, and he was with Frank Dye, and I assume it was Frank. And there were some girls' voices, at least, yes. And they came in with the girls, yes. And Amos hadn't called you and told you to come down there now, had he? Not yet, no. And so you took it on yourself to go down and be waiting in his bedroom. Is that correct? He had told me he was going to be alone when he came home. But he said he would call you. My mother was in bed. The phone would have disturbed her, and as long as he had already asked me to come down there in the first place, I saw no point in going down there. Well, perhaps there wasn't. In any event, when he came in with these girls, he didn't embarrass you by bringing you out of the bedroom through the living room of his house, did he? It wasn't a case of embarrassing me. The way he put it, he didn't want them to see me there. In his bedroom? That is right. And so the wine cellar is another way out. There are steps or a ladder that goes down and out of the basement door. That is right. And that is in the hallway, isn't it? No, it is in the bottom of the wardrobe in the bedroom, so that you could get out without you seeing these people, or without these girls seeing you. Is that correct? That is correct. And this was one of the instances in which he treated you badly. Is that correct? Now let's take some of these other instances. This pirate flag, when he went to Catalina, how long did you work on the pirate flag? I don't know exactly how many hours I put in on it. I am not even sure this was mentioned in your direct testimony. I know it was in the opening statement. It was mentioned. If you would care to have someone look at it, they could probably tell you about how much time was put into it by what was done. It is one of these Jolly Roger type of flags, is it not? It is a great big one, skull and crossbones, yes. And when he asked you to make the flag for him, it was because he was going over to Catalina for, what do they call it, Buccaneer Days or Pirate Days? Yes. And this is why he told you he wanted the flag. He said he was going and he didn't know how to make the flag and asked me if I would. And how did he say he was going over there? Did he own a boat? No, it was somebody else's boat. Do you know who else's boat it was? No, I don't. Did he, when he told you to make the flag, he didn't tell you he was going to take you over, did he? No. So you have testified that he took the flag and it is a friend of his that has the boat, and off he went to Catalina and left you alone. I testified that he had made me a flag to go on a trip. And then he didn't take you with him on a trip in which he made it a point to tell me that he was going with these other girls. But you weren't married to Amos, or you hadn't talked about marriage at that time, had you? No, other than what I have already testified to. Wasn't it understood between you that he could go out with, at least, that he was going to go out with as many girls as he wanted to and lead his own life? All I asked was that he not let me know about it. And didn't you keep after him to give you more attention? And all the time you wanted him to spend more attention, pay more attention to you and less to these other girls. I don't think that I made any terrific demands on him. Did you tell this Miss Damerel, Peggy Damerel, that he was bugging you and so you shot him 3 times? I told you, I don't remember what I said that morning. Do you remember? You don't remember anything? To refresh your memory, did you say that he was giving you a hard time and you shot him 3 times? Do you remember saying that? I don't remember what I said. Isn't it a fact that although you and Amos got along well, that you were constantly bugging him and getting in his hair and interfering with his bachelor relationships? On several occasions, he mentioned that I was ruining his love life when we, in the course of not an argument, but rather a strong discussion. Question by plaintiff's attorney. 160. Some of these other times when he did these incidents that you have been brought out that upset you, why didn't you kill him then? I didn't want to kill him. What did he? I didn't want to hurt him. The night that you shot him, all that he did was talk to you. He didn't beat you or use any force on you, did he? No. He yelled at you much the same as he had done in the past many, many, many times. Isn't that true? I guess so. Have you associated with many married men and women at all, Miss Stricker, to any great extent? My name is Tracy. I mean Miss Tracy. I am sorry. Yes, once back in Ohio before I came out here when I was 18. At the time I met him, I didn't know he was married. I will leave that, Your Honor. Well, it is 4:30. We will take our recess until tomorrow morning at 9:45. The jurors are admonished again not to permit any person to communicate to them about the case, not to communicate amongst themselves, not to form or express any opinion on the case until it is finally submitted. You may proceed, Miss Tracy. I have forgotten quite where we left off, but let me start with this. I think you testified you were living in California when your parents were separated or divorced. Is that correct? Yes. Is that in Riverside, California that you said? Yes, that's right. That is where you had to make a decision to go with your mother or father. At that time, I was living in Redondo Beach with my mother. When you say you made a decision, was that in front of the court or in front of the judge, or what type of decision did you make? Referring to the time when I had to make the final decision, or yes, that is what I mean. Where were you living then? I was living with my mother at that time. Did you have to go before the court? Yes. And tell the judge which parent you would rather stay with? Yes. In your own mind, the parent that you would rather most stay with, that is the parent you got to go with. Is that correct? They wanted me to state a preference. You did state a preference. I chose to go with my father because I felt that was what my mother wanted me to do, that she felt it would be best for me. And the court let you go with your father? Yes. When was it that you worked as a legal secretary or Girl Friday? I think you phrased it. Was that before you went to college or afterwards? That was afterwards. Where was this that you worked as a legal secretary or Girl Friday, as you say? It was in Dayton, Ohio. This lawyer that you worked for, did he handle criminal cases, Miss Tracy? I worked for 4 lawyers. Did any of these lawyers handle criminal cases? Yes. Did any of them handle criminal cases exclusively or as a majority, most of their practice? No. Did you, as a Girl Friday, assist any of these attorneys in the defense of any criminal cases? No. During the period of time that you were working for the attorneys, were you aware of the fact, situations, and the defenses to be raised in these criminal cases? No, that wasn't my job. Going to your stay at the Metropolitan State Hospital, you were there approximately from November, the latter part of November of 1959. Is that correct? That's correct. Until, would I be correct in saying, you were discharged on January the 29th of 1960, approximately. That would be then a little over 2 months. Is that correct? Yes, sir. And before you were discharged near the end of January, didn't you have a Christmas leave? Wasn't that allowed you? Yes, I did. In other words, they let you come home for Christmas? That's right. How long a leave did you have? I believe I came home on Thursday and went back Sunday night or Monday morning. I can't remember exactly. When you talked to your mother about a petition being filed to have you committed to the state hospital, was this with your complete agreement? You mean the commitment papers? Yes, I knew nothing about the commitment papers until I was served with them.